Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching me today. My name is Peter. Welcome back to Invest with Peter Ads. Guys, well, today I'm going to be talking about, some issues around United Kingdom because, there's a news that came out last week that says United Kingdom narrowly escaped recession. Is that true? I'm going to be talking about that in this video today. If you see me for the first time, I come every week and I bring out information that you need today and you might need maybe in the future or probably to consider when investing in the stock market. I talk about finance, talk about, stock market, cryptocurrency and investing, right? So what I'm going to be saying today is all about UK economy and all that stuff. If you don't live in UK, this might still be useful if you live in the United States because, UK, US, European economy actually interconnect together because if anything big happen in UK is going to reflect in United States economy, finance, NASDAQ is going to be affected if a big thing happen in any G7 country. As you know that United Kingdom is part of G7 countries, right? So today, let's talk about the news that the government is actually, on this recession of a thing. We got the news that says United Kingdom narrowly escaped recession. Well, before I go in there, let's talk about the CPI that is coming out this week, right? February the 14th is the United States CPI day, right? So market is expecting less than 6.2%. If we get anything around 6.3, 6.2, well, market is still going to be around there doing its own thing. If you get lower than that, expect market to rally. But anything more than 6.2, it's going to be a big problem in the stock market, right? Because the last one was 6.5. So definitely, as Powell came out last week and said, well, they're still going to be raising rates, looking at the data coming out, and they're going to be considering whatever is coming out now, even though the job number was not really, that good, actually more than what the market was expecting. But regardless of that, they're still going to be raising rates. But this CPI is going to be one of the most important CPI we're going to have this year. It's going to happen. So let's go back to this United Kingdom of a thing that's we don't believe. I don't believe it. Now, 2016, United Kingdom actually voted to leave European Union, right? 2016, 51% voted out of European Union. Now, it was all about people saying, well, we shouldn't have gone out of the European Union. United Kingdom should have stayed in the EU, blah, 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 blah. Politicians was there, yeah. Boris Johnson was all over the place in forefront, right? He was in the front, talking about now we're out of United EU. Why am I saying United? We are out of EU. So we know something is going to follow. There's going to be issue around stuff that's going to happen after that. So Europeans left United Kingdom. Those who were able to stay, put in for their, indefinite leave to remain. And those who can do that actually went back to their various countries. So which actually creates a gap in the labor market, right? So people who are in NHS, doctors, nurses, they have to go. They have to go back to their countries and start their new life. While people who are doing, the white collar jobs have to go back. Blue collar jobs, workers, they have to leave. Laborers, they had no choice than to leave. They left. So here leaves the vacuum. Now, United Kingdom is looking at where are we going to get this labor force to fill in the gaps, right? Just follow me as the way I'm saying it, right? Where are we going to get this labor force? Now they start looking outside European Union. They start looking at Africa, Southeast Asia, India, some people from Malaysia, Africa, countries and all that stuff. Now, as they were doing that, thinking about that, COVID hit 2020 March, countries were locked down. So the reflex of, the Brexit is still on while COVID hit the whole world. Now, COVID hit, everything went down and dark again. So many lives were lost. And that actually creates more pain in all these sectors because people that left, their spaces are still free. And there are more jobs, especially in the NHS. NHS workers, they were so, bombarded with all these sick people everywhere. They were, overstressed, people working 16 hours a day and all that. Looking for workers, looking for people to fill in the gaps. No one was there, right? So COVID raged for 2020, 2021, 2022, a bit of 2022. It's still ongoing at the moment. Now, United Kingdom is still thinking what's going to happen. Let's go back to 2022. So 2022, invasion of Ukraine. Now, energy crisis comes in again. People are well, what's going to happen now? Are we going to be able to afford the energy, the gas, electricity bills that's going to be coming on? People were shouting, government need to do something. That was the crisis, when, UK had to change prime minister 2-3 times and all that stuff. Now, United Kingdom is telling us that, we are going to avoid recession. We're going to probably escape recession. But before I go further, watch this video.
Growth, the red bar here, would be somewhere in the middle of the industrialised pack this year. Its new forecasts paint a far gloomier picture. The UK the weakest, not just in the developed world, but of any country mentioned by the fund, including Russia. Why? Its chief economist says it's partly those labour shortages, partly higher taxes, partly Brexit, and partly higher energy costs.
We've had a very sharp increase in natural gas prices, energy prices in the UK, and there is a larger share of energy that is coming from natural gas, with a higher pass-through to final consumers, and so that has affected. There's been a stronger cost of living crisis, if you want, in the UK.
But has the fund gone a bit too...
Thank you for joining us. The UK will be the world's only major economy to shrink this year. The assessment from the International Monetary Fund, which even puts sanction-hit Russia ahead of Britain in 2023.
As you can see, United Kingdom inflation went to double digits. UK becomes the worst performing country in the G7. And IMF are sounding the alarm that United Kingdom will perform worse than even Russia. Imagine when IMF, International Monetary Fund, says United Kingdom is going to perform worse than Russia, a country that's going through crisis, war, sanctions and all that stuff, are going to perform better than United Kingdom. And these people are telling us that we are actually going to avoid a recession. Now they said we have already avoided a recession. Or are we in a recession at the moment?
When you look at this IMF report, the UK really is in a very poor position, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's awkward and it's embarrassing because, previously everyone was doing quite badly, but we were kind of somewhere in the middle of the pack, whereas now we're just a bit of an outlier. And when you look, I think we can show you this chart here. When you look at the whole array of different countries kind of around the world, we are there on the far right-hand side, and the fact that we're kind of below, Germany, but the fact that we're below Russia, Russia, where sanctions, which has been imposed with sanctions at the moment, which has seen an enormous fall in its economic growth, that just underlines just how, I guess, humiliating it is for the UK government. But you just have to kind of step back and ask the broader question. First of all, there is a question as to whether these are just forecasts, okay? This doesn't necessarily mean that anyone's life is going to change. It's just a bet on where we are heading. And the verdict is not particularly flattering for the UK. It might well be that, because what's happened in practice here is the UK has been downgraded, partly reflecting the fact that we are weaker than the IMF thought last time around. Remember that since then, they've had to reflect that we had the mini budget, you had all of those roller coasters that we had after that, and the fact that this government under Rishi Sunak, under Jeremy Hunt, is starting to kind of contract the public finances. There's a lot that's kind of gone on since that the IMF is catching up with. The question, I think, and we don't know the answer to this, is whether they've been a little bit optimistic about places like Germany and Italy, because you've had energy prices not affecting them quite as much as expected. Might, we get an upgrade later on in the spring? I think it's quite plausible. But even when you kind of take a step back, we're not in a very good position. There are all sorts of factors that are weighing on the UK economy right now. You've got whether it's Brexit, whether it's what's going on in the labour market, where people are really struggling to get, kind of find staff, whether it's what's going on with fiscal tightening, whether taxes are rising, whether you've got the interest rates going up, the cost of living crisis more broadly, and inflation. Put all of that together, and it kind of adds up to things not feeling very good at the moment. The question as to whether the UK really is quite as much of an outlier as that chart and the numbers from the IMF suggest, I think that's still an open one. Things don't look necessarily very good. Do they look quite as abysmal as we see in that chart? I think we'll have to wait and see.
Well, they won't tell you that. So, all the NHS workers, public sectors, they started going on strike again. All right. 2023 has been a year of strike. It's all just how many couple of weeks now? A couple of weeks into 2023, we have strikes in health sector, most of the public sectors they're going on strike. Teachers going on strike, NHS workers on strike, immigration on strike, ambulance workers on strike. railway workers on strike, and that you're telling me it's not going to affect the economy. The amount of money the country is generating from those sectors in a day, then workers going on strike, they're telling me they're not going to be losing billions of pounds every day. And government is telling us that we are actually not in a recession, or we have already, managed to escape a recession. Is that true? Well, I'll leave that for you to answer. Now, the Central Bank of England, Andrew Bailey says, well, they're going to be raising interest rate gone up like crazy, right? So people who have been buying, mortgage, they were like, well, you're going to be paying more for your mortgage. People who took 200,000 mortgage, I'll let you watch this before I even continue talking.
Will still be a recession this year. And of course, there are two big forces out there that are squeezing living standards, which are interest rates and energy bills. And many economists think that whatever has happened so far, those two forces together are eventually just going to overwhelm households and trigger a recession. On interest rates, the problem there is that the Bank of England has been putting them up for a very long time, but the full impact of that has not yet come through. And you can see that if you looked at, for example, someone taking out a £200,000 mortgage 2 years ago, then they'd have been paying monthly payments about £900. If it was a 2-year rate and so they're refinancing it now, they'd be paying about £1,200 a month. That's an extra £320 a month. That's thousands of pounds over the course of a year. And the problem is that there are about 1.8 million of these fixed rate deals that are due to end this year. And so this squeeze on some households is just going to ratchet up as 2023 goes on.
And quickly, talk to us about energy.
Yeah, so there, obviously, the government has provided help. It did put a freeze on people's energy bills at £2,500. But from April, that's due to go up to £3,000. Gas bills internationally are falling very rapidly. But the problem is that most people think that that won't feed through to the bills for households until the second half of this year.
OK. Neil, thanks so much for that.
Just like that. Housing market is going to be the first thing that's going to break. People saying housing market, is it going to go down like 2008 or what's going to happen now? But most analysts, most economics are saying housing market is going to be the first one to go down, followed by a recession. But housing market has been going down, probably down now 7-8% now. And they're still talking about housing market can go down up to 20%. So why is government telling us that we have already managed to avoid a recession? We're just in 2023 where most countries are talking about these probably before Q2, most countries in the world are going to go through a recession. But United Kingdom says they just managed to escape a recession. I see how the economy works and I see how things go around here. But I'm telling you now that if you are an investor, you better be smart at this point. Be careful what you're buying. Be careful if you want to buy a big stuff like that you're going to finance. Be very careful. This is not the time to be financing stuff because the interest rate will keep going up. And if you're looking to buy a house, there's going to be a window just around mid this year towards next year. It's going to be a good time to invest in real estate. If you want to buy stuff, I'm not saying you should not buy anything, but be very careful what you want to buy this time because you might end up biting your finger. That if I had known, I would have waited a little bit and all that stuff. You don't want to be rushing into buying stuff now, especially a big thing. Like if you are trying to invest big in something, you need to wait and see, then confirm what's the APR that you're going to be paying on that stock that you want to invest in. Well, that's it for UK. I don't believe what's coming on the TV that UK has narrowly escaped a recession. We're probably in a recession at this point. So investors, be careful. So many stocks in United Kingdom, UK, 100, FTSE 100. Most of these little companies, they're down to the floor. If you want to start picking, these companies and start buying in them, well, fine. But I wouldn't be investing heavily in these companies. So this week, I believe, is going to be a good week. CPI is coming out. Why not? So, Valentine week also. So things are going to turn around. And market is being a bit, trying to unfold what happened last week about the job numbers. That's why you saw the market went down last week. But this week is another week. It's going to be all highs on Tuesday, the CPI day. Whatever happens on Tuesday will determine whether Feds are going to be increasing rate by 25 or 50 basis points come March. So, well, I don't want to waste your time. That's all I've got for you today. Please subscribe to the channel. I appreciate what you're doing for me, and I will see you on the next one. Bye for now.